And isn't a BIA assigned by, like, randomly?
BIA is appointed judges. But yeah, there's like 18 of them, and they get assigned. I don't know. Of course. So anyway,
It's the new Mountain Dew.
it is. It's good stuff.
So we'll take your word for it. I know all about it. I've had it hot. I've had it cold. I've had it.
You just don't know the name. That's
Let's
the problem.
get it. No. I like it. I like to call it all sorts of different things, Coach. So what are you gonna do? Can you appeal that?
It's not my case, but it just sets a precedent because the BIAs are level up, and so hopefully whoever this attorney is takes it to the 9th if it's an Arizona case. But
Yeah. So you don't have a BIA doing that again.
But that's going to now, I'm sure DHS is going to jump all over that and now use that as a precedent decision because they published it. I don't know how you publish like discretionary elements. That's a bold move.
So how do you respond personally to this? Can you?
It's other than just knowing what I'm dealing with now on these cancellation of removal cases cases that usually feel like strong cases may not be as strong anymore.
And you have to advise accordingly.
Yeah, we have to advise the clients. Yeah, you still fight it. You still, do the same thing, and you hope that go. Number one, why is DHS appealing that?
Right.
That's not usually their course of action. If a
So
judge is going to make
the
a decision,
BIA,
they appealed the
judge's decision,
lower judge's decision, saying that the hardship.
So this is going to have to go up to.
It'll have to go up to the circuit court.
The circuit, and who knows with our 9th.
But then again, what's the circuit court doing? They're saying, like, now you've got judges in a pissing match saying whose opinion matters. Like it's an opinion case. This is discretion. So that's why we don't usually deal.
Yeah, this is not a bricks and
appeal.
This is not a bricks and sticks thing.
No, and especially a published decision. They might come out and say, send it back to the judge to analyze this a little bit better. But they not only did they sustain DHS's appeal, they deported the guy. So he went out of the court thinking he won his case, got his green card. They appealed it on discretion on number one, which they hardly ever do, and then you have a published decision that not only vacated the original decision, but gave a consequence that was even more gnarly. So usually that they'll remand it back to the judge and say, hey, DHS brings up some good points here. We need to relitigate this or reanalyze this a little bit. But for them to straight up say the judge's opinion on autism isn't good enough, that's rough.
That's why I think they just another dead sailor. We're already casting. Turn my mic up. Yeah, because it's been kind of low on the feed lately, and Westover's been kicking my butt on the vocals.
No, that's a surprise.
I know, it's pretty awesome. I've been liking it.
He's too loud. Is that what it is? Okay. I would think I would need to be louder, but
no, you've been sounding fantastic, and I've been sounding like a weasel. And I'm blaming the microphone and the operator behind the desk.
All right.
That's just the bottom line. That's what I'm doing.
Keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah. You don't have to change a thing. You got your mate. You got, I've got my
Just relaxed.
My fake Dr. Pepper, otherwise known as water. But it's ice water, so it's fancy.
Product placement.
Product placement. Well, here we can just do this here. Anyway.
American Idol.
So we talked about hammer swings. We've talked about all sorts of swings. We've talked about pendulum swings mostly. And now I want to dig into sports because I'm tired of getting bagged on by the movies and the TV shows and the older generation eyeballs. And I want to go into sports wherein you have a little bit more reach. This generation, last generation, the generation before that, back when they wore short shorts in basketball.
Seen it all. Back to the long shorts.
Before the long shorts when they were throwing elbows and it was basically wrestling with a ball.
Yep.
On a hardwood. And the game was kind of cool in Larry Bird's time. And you know what? That's when MJ came up. Was it in the last little bit of that time? Which an argument can be made. Not an argument can be made. Magic and Bird saved the game of basketball as far as professionally speaking. I mean, it was really not that popular until those two were at odds, and that was a pretty cool time.
Yeah, I don't even know if they saved it. They elevated something that was floundering on.
Yeah.
And you had ABA and NBA and
Good way to put it. Yeah. I agree. And those guys were magic, literally. I mean, it was great basketball too. So, all right, you're coach now, and we're going to talk about something that's going to make you squirm at some point, but I'm not going to get there at the beginning. Maybe it'll make you squirm. It's going to be fun. You might have some splaining to do when you get home.
all right, fire.
Let's rock.
My wife's out of town.
And she doesn't watch it
Doesn't
anyway.
listen to these anyway. So.
Neither does mine. Oh, no, she likes it?
She's present. That's why.
I guess that's a good point. Okay. You got a few minutes left in the game. You're chasing. No. Nope. Bad example. You're down. And the other team's got some momentum going on you. And you're down 8, 10. They're starting to, you call a timeout. And you put in make a few changes. And the goal, I would assume, not being the level of coach you are at all, the goal would be, let's stop the bleeding here and let's full court press. Let's put on.
That was me. My bad.
Oh, all good. Let's put some stress on these guys. Let's get some juice going. Mm-hmm. How long do you keep the press going?
I guess so press is a tough one in basketball because you have to have, no matter what, you have to have the personnel that can be able to execute it, and not everyone can execute a press. Part of it is some athleticism. It takes a lot of discipline, even though there's a lot of teams that press that rely on chaos and whatever else. As you get, and that works great as second, fourth, fifth, sixth graders because you got the mental capacity and the size and whatever else. You got one kid that might be 3 feet taller than another kid, whatever. Once you get into the level of high school, usually teams that press suck because they're not very disciplined. They try and rely on their athleticism, and with a little patience, you're getting layups instead of 3-point shots, and it's higher percentage and whatever else. And so, press is a desperation move in high school. It can for I think in a short term, and unless you're playing a team that just has zero discipline, I think you put it in for 2 or 3 minutes. You try and force 3 or 4 turnovers. And then they're going to call a timeout themselves, and they're going to adjust, and you probably have to pull out of it. You may, almost like anything else, when you're down in a football game and you're down by 3 touchdowns, your strategy is not great when you're having to pass every down because they're going to turn up the pass rush, and you're going to get sacked a bunch, and you might cause yourself some turnovers, but you don't have a choice. Mm-hmm. So sometimes you have to press the whole game if you're going to try and get back in the game, but it's not usually going to be successful if you have to do it for more than a few minutes at a time, at least at the level that I coach at.
So there's a reason Bobby Knight's Bobby Knight.
Yeah, and there's a reason you don't see a lot of college or NBA team. You'll never see. I mean, a single guy might pick up 90 feet because he thinks he's a dog defensively, but you watch an NBA team, you're never going to see a press because it's going to end up in a dunk.
You see semblances of aggression for short bursts.
Maybe half courts, traps, and
short
different
bursts.
things and always short bursts.
Yeah.
They'll switch into weird zones.
Because a few things. Number one, the other side's going to adapt to it because it creates more opportunity in a way.
Yep. No, absolutely.
And then also, thinking ahead, that's going to drain your guys on the court too.
And we're going to tire out.
And we're going to need them in 10 minutes also. Mm-hmm. And so there's a lot of forward thinking going on. But how often do you see as coach, one side or the other, your own side, how often do you fight yourself internally when something like that is working beautifully for a little bit longer than it should? No timeout's been called yet, and you keep kind of pushing the envelope or. Sure,
we run sometimes gimmicky defenses that I think are hot garbage. If I was the one on the other side, I'd be tearing them apart. But you get either, sometimes even on the high school level, you get not great coaches, especially on the club level. You get a lot of these, I don't know where they come from, guys that think they can coach, and you can scheme them to death. And your defense isn't great, in my opinion, but we'll run a 1-3-1, which I would murder if you were playing it against me.
Sure.
But you don't know how to adjust to it, and you play a man offense against my 1-3-1, and you're going to get destroyed, and we'll stay in it the whole game and just laugh to ourselves. I mean, I have an assistant.
Well, this is so
me
great.
and my other coach on the club, we do this all the time where we'll just kind of look at each other and go, do you see the offense they're running against this? Well, then keep it going.
This is going to be fantastic.
And usually we're doing those things just like you said in, a minute or two just to throw them off. And especially we love to, if they call a timeout because our defense is working, we immediately switch defenses to mess with the coach just to see if the coach will adjust.
Right. And they're doing the same thing if they're good on the other side.
Yes.
Right. If they're good, they're doing the same thing.
On the high school level, you see that a lot more than you would on
the more competitive it gets, the upper it gets.
And the club level is super competitive. It's just the coaching's not always great.
So let's jump all the way to Steve Nash, Mike D'Antoni's sons. Changed the game of basketball forever. Sped it up big time.
Yeah.
Very offensively or very, very fun to watch.
7
seconds or less. Just devastating. Fantastically run by Steve Nash, orchestrated well. But they didn't get a ring.
Because they couldn't play defense.
And keeping that up for that amount of time has to create some wear and tear. I mean, people forget that Nash likely was the best shooter in the league at the time, if not one of the best all time. I mean, he was a very good shooter, and he didn't shoot a whole lot. So I still think there was a little bit of mismanagement with his shot attempts. I really think he should have had more of them, and maybe there would be a ring, maybe two, especially before you lose Joe Johnson. That gave him a little bit more options, in my opinion. Okay, doesn't matter. All I'm saying is that was fun to watch, but it didn't create a championship.
It was so fun to watch.
It was.
It was.
I've never seen anything like it.
I'm not from Phoenix, but that's when I became, at least they were my second favorite team from my, apart from my hometown team.
Yep.
The Suns were so fun to watch in 2004 to 2010.
Amazing. And you weren't alone. I mean, it kind of thunderstruck the whole entire nation. I mean, it shook up the game of basketball. I mean, it almost made Shaquille O'Neal obsolete, and that type of player. And people don't give Shaquille as much credit, I think, for moving as well as he did as that mammoth of a man. I mean, he moved pretty well.
Super athletic.
Incredibly athletic. He moved very well. You've got, Mutombo. You've got Kevin Garnett, who's an amazing talent, who's incredibly tall anyway, but very mobile. But it changed where those guys became Kevin Garnett didn't become less important because athleticism and the ability to play with that pace. So Popovich's times were getting limited, or his days were becoming limited. Now he's adjusted. As
a great coach.
Yeah, great coach. He's adjusted. So I'm going to tip my hat to that. Now, you answered my question early on. We're talking pendulums a lot about all sorts of stuff out there. Culture, we've got pendulums with government, we've got pendulums with all sorts of things, and we worry about pendulums, but I wanted to put it in that context of the basketball coach. Eyes for the basketball coach. Yeah, I'm going to do this right now because they're on a run. They're gaining on us, or they're putting some distance on the scoreboard, and I don't want to get out of this game. So I'm going to do this for a limited time. And the thought going through your head is, number one, I'm burning a lot of calories doing this for a minute. And this is kind of hitting the boosters.
Yeah, changing momentum.
Yeah, just let's switch the momentum. But then you're ultimately got plan thereafter.
Yeah.
So you're already on your next phase in your mind, but you got to execute the first one. Now, this is where it's going to get fun. You might want to take a drink.
I've taken several.
That's fair.
I'm loaded.
All right, let's put a chick in your shoes. And they just love that full court. It's working a little bit well for a minute.
You a female coach?
Yep.
Okay.
What's she going to do? Oh, yeah. What's she going to do?
What's a female coach going to do?
Yeah, in your shoes when you're running, when you're trying to stop a streak and you start to have some success, starts to stop that streak.
So I would be.
Can you get some sort of thing above his head where it's just like rolling,
well, here's
running.
I am always diplomatic in everything I do. And so here's the diplomatic answer. I don't have enough experience with female coaches to know how to answer that question. That's the
fantastic answer. That's why we're voting for him for governor.
And that's the honest truth. That's not me shying away from the question because, look, honestly, all jokes aside, well, maybe jokes not aside, I'm not a huge fan of the women's game personally on the basketball side. It's hard for me to watch a little bit. And that's not to take away from amazing and talented athletes. It's just the entertainment value for me just isn't quite there. And I love women's tennis. My niece is a tennis player. It's amazing.
The Venus
I
gals,
love women's soccer.
What is it? The Williams gals were fantastic to watch.
I love watching my high school's girls flag football team. Like there's amazing athletes out there. Like there's certain things that I wouldn't have expected to really enjoy on the girls side of things. Sometimes
girls softball is my guilty pleasure.
Yeah, and I don't have a ton of experience because none of my family played with that, but I'm sure I'd probably
It's a guilty pleasure of mine, but carry on.
My point is basketball has been a little bit more difficult. Maybe it's because it's my sport and the levels that I've played at or coached at. It's a different kind of game, even though they don't think it is. It's the athleticism is just not quite the same, and so the flow of the game ends up being a little bit different. There's a lot more fouls called. It's a little bit, the pace is different. That offense, I've seen some games on girls' side, no offense, but that have been 10-2 on high level girls' side basketball. That's not entertaining to watch. And that's, like I said, that's not to take away from their athleticism or their work that they put in. It's just not a product. So because of that, I don't watch a lot of girls basketball. The girls basketball coach at our high school is a male. So that's the person I interact with on the girls' side of things. But Mesa High went to the semifinals or finals, and they had a female coach on their girls' side. So I'm sure there's success, and I'm sure there's good coaches out there and whatever else. I don't know what strategically how they are.
Knowing the diplomat you are, the fact that you said the word diplomat, because I was going to say diplomat.
On the female side,
yeah,
even on the college level, is a male. It's Gino Ariyama, UConn's coach.
Right.
And I don't know that that's a shot at females, but or female coaches, but that's the facts. He's the best coach.
What I know about women and what I know about basketball, what I know about sports in general, what I know about trends and how things work is if they're kicking butt with this great, stopgap Band-Aid that they put in, they're going to go with it and not think about, okay, Billy's getting worn out and I'm going to need him in the fourth, and Frank is
no idea.
Blah, 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 blah. They're going to go with that thing until it just blows up in their face. Bottom line, until they have to change. You have plan B, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a stopgap because they've got momentum. You need to stop the momentum. Okay? So that would be the order component of your brain. And I'm not saying that we're wired differently. I'm saying we're wired differently. Okay? That's it. We're just wired differently. It's kind of why we get excited about when our wives get excited. It's like, cool. All right, it's awesome. But our commonsensical piece of our brain is going, okay, we need to do this, and then we need to do this, and we need to do that. No, we probably can't eat out every night because we got rent this week.
Yeah,
and
I
we
mean,
need
I
to save
think
this
that
and
science
save
are
that.
back, and so maybe the best way to put this is that males tend to be more problem solvers, and there's maybe more emotion and passion on a female side, and so if that translates into how they coach, I could see that. And I think that gets us as males into trouble all the time, right? I'm trying to solve problems before I'm listening, right? And that's a skill that I've tried to
our hats or fix-its
to help, because a lot of times that's not what
Listen, baby
needed.
doll, let me step in. Here we go.
No, it's constant. I think that's how our brains, we just move on to what is the consequence of what's happening and how can we solve it as quick as possible, which is not always the best way to deal with humans.
But
that's how we're wired.
The female side of humans.
Yeah, or even like
I don't know.
Even my own kids, I'm sure that
now
they
I'm
don't
gonna,
love.
Now I'm going to draw a line. I'm going to draw a line because that's not how it used to be. So, affirmative action, women's movement, all this stuff starts, getting pretty hot and heavy, 60s, 70s, mainly 70s. Big push, big push, big push. Masculinity starts getting filtered out, starts getting watered down. Gals, moms, concerned moms, not liking coaches grabbing helmets, or not liking how much you're running the kids, or not liking how much they're doing this, or not liking that you're letting them play through a strain of whatever on his, there was an injury. One of the kids got injured, and his dad, this kid just so happens to live with us, his dad takes him immediately to the ER and has this minor little who cares. He wears this brace for 6 weeks, which he really wears the brace like twice. He's back on the field now. Like, this is nothing. There's a nothing burger here. This all happened right below me, where you started seeing these organizations here in the valley. You had Mesa High getting watered down. You had Mountain View going through a handful of coaches because of all sorts of just a little bit too much this and a little bit too much that. And it was pushed primarily by the moms. And then you get dads going in and saying, hey, why is my kid not playing? And why is this not playing? And why is this not happening? And you know that there's some sort of mom behind this dad saying, go talk to the coach. Now, we're becoming more and more aware of these things. People from my generation weren't aware of anything. We ran our guts out. Water, what was that? Winning was the only thing that got rewarded. There wasn't a participation trophy ever, but there was shame when you got hosed. And, okay, that's great. Then the pendulum swung far. And these two, so maybe Caden not so much, but probably, let's talk about it with them. We have your Andrew Tates. We have your, what's the guy with the something wars? I don't know. Brannon? No. I don't know. He got sued by Sandy Hook. What's that guy's name? I don't know. Alex Jones. You had Alex Jones. You got the Tate brothers. You've got these, and then we had this word toxic masculinity, which I actually haven't heard in a while. I haven't heard that in a minute, but it was heard a lot 28 minutes ago when these guys were 17, 16, 18 years old. And so Andrew Tate, I mean, this was a name that you guys both perked up when I said his name. What's his message for the most part? Grab a microphone. Let's make it clear.
Andrew Tate don't really have like a specific message. His thing is to like provoke people. He has a common theme. Like he sells provocation. Yeah, he sells provocation. He gets people mad. He just says like anything to get attention, and that's kind of his business model, is to get attention and to be like a sort of quote unquote counterculture, but it's really like anti anything progressive. And he just does it to make people mad, which gets him attention, which gets him money, which sells his like little course thing that he sells, which is basically like teaching you how to drop ship, and you pay like a lot of money for something you can learn on YouTube.
Yeah, okay.
And he basically sells it as, oh, if you follow me, you're a big masculine man.
It's like a Sean Whalen.
Like it's.
Do you know who that is?
Yes.
Okay.
He basically like
lions, not sheep guy.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, he just sells like the idea that you're special, pretty much.
Hand the microphone over. Let's get the older one. Perfectly put. I think at least that's your mindset, because you had a lot of him coming up when you were younger. But he's just a couple years older than you.
I've only heard of the name. I don't really know a lot about him. From what I hear, he just sounds like a full-time rage baiter, and now he's making money off of it.
Okay, about saying the same thing.
I don't know anything about him other than the YouTube comments on our podcast called me a Walmart Andrew Tate. Literally, there's a comment on there. So that's the only funny thing that when you brought up that name particularly, I know nothing about him other than that comment.
You are the
and I've been
furthest-
told that by all my young men and whatever else call me Andrew Tate. And I was like, who the heck is this? So I had to look him up one day, but I don't know anything that he says.
White guy who's bald with a beard.
Yeah, that's pretty much. I don't know.
Well, you do have the hair thing
The
going
gum
and the beard thing going. That said, you're about as far away from Tate
As far as the personality goes.
Well, no. Look, Andrew Tate's not all bad. The problem is he's just all the rage bait, and what you guys were explaining when the pendulum swung and.
So I don't know about Andrew Tate being all not bad. There was a huge international incident where he fled to Romania because he led a sex trafficking ring.
Yeah.
So
You could
I
do
don't know
that
about
legally
that.
in Romania and frankly here in the United States too.
Agree
Look
to
at Diddy.
disagree whether the sex trafficking ring is good.
Right. I don't know. What about Diddy? He just
Yeah.
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 He's saying
I'll
that
take
he
back the
sells it to
microphone.
young men.
Yeah, he sells the idea that young men should be a certain way.
And there's a movement, even in I have high school friends that have started organizations specifically to take back masculinity. That's the theme of it. And legit, you pay $40,000 a year or something like that to be part of these organizations. They have monthly build up male masculinity monthly meetings, and then they go on these bull riding trips or chasing the bulls or whatever else, and then they claim that they cry to each other and have these therapy sessions. No, legit. I'm probably going to have a friend or two that are part of this that'll listen to it.
You didn't. Let's get him signing up. You're the white Andrew Tate.
I laugh at it. Maybe it's got some elements that are valuable to certain people. The whole coaching thing and the whole there's this culture out there that I just don't get. I'm sure there's value to it, but there's a lot of people making money on telling people how to live their lives, and then I just think there's just do your thing, man. Just live your life. I don't know why you got to tell somebody or why somebody else is going to coach you on how to treat your wife.
I will say this. This is what happened. Well, I think we all need some dudes on the chain gang or whatever, the people we run with, to pop off to once in a while. And I think and the gals have their friends that they
and I'm
pop
a big
off
proponent
to.
of mental health. People that are licensed and trained to do this, therapists, counselors, absolutely. I'm a full proponent of it. I don't understand how my high school buddy that
he's making 40
that was a
grand.
Jackass in high school is going to now teach people how to treat their wives who's never been married and all kinds of. There's a whole thing on it, and it's what gives you.
I can spend a lot of time on this, Mr. Tate, but the problem. The thing that we have is we had, in a few generations, completely usurped and taken over by a little bit too much tippy toe.
No, we pendulum swing on everything.
Right.
That's
a little
what
bit too
you're
much
talking about.
tippy toe with the
we
feminine
went into
outlook.
a huge Me Too movement, and it probably did. Masculinity is such a weird word because it depends on how you define it. But absolutely, was there a swing where we lost some portions of, being a provider and being a caretaker and some things that I still hold valuable in a family and as a father and as a husband. Did we minimize some of that and try and push a different progressive message out to the point where it swung it in a different direction? Absolutely. I think sports is one of those, and it's coming kind of back around, and people are saying, okay, it's all great, but when a football team makes $60 million a year and the girls softball team made $300 and you're giving the same amount of money to the same athletes, that wasn't a fair system. And we're still a capitalistic society. We're still should be rewarding value for what it brings in type of thing. Yeah, there was things that definitely swung on the pendulum, and that's one of them probably that needed to come back down a little bit.
So now that we have these clearer-eyed young folks, young males in the room here, that are sitting there looking at all right, that's rage bait. That's a bunch of crap, according to the two young men in here.
Man, there's
which
sure a bunch that believe all this stuff, though.
and there are a bunch that kind of take it too far, and so that pendulum started swinging the back the other way. But I'm finding that maybe, just maybe, that one's not going as far as I thought it might. And I'm going to blame Trump. And I'm a little shocked because it's just picking little bits and pieces up. Trump is all fellow. He's old school. He just says what he thinks, and if he's not politically correct, he's not politically correct. He doesn't care. He doesn't measure his words. He looks like he's walking through one of the buildings that he's getting that's under inspection.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the way he talks and kind of the way he negotiates. It's the way he kind of goes about things. And the media's getting less and less, it's less polarizing than we've seen in the past by a pretty significant margin. It's still, you got a back and forth tennis match going with the left and the rights, but the extreme rights and the extreme lefts. And I think more people are ignoring those extremes.
Yeah, it's
like these two are ignoring the Andrew Tates, are ignoring your buddy that never been married that's making $40,000 a year so they can cry together but chase bulls. And
that's per person, that bro's making millions.
I know. So you and I need to think about maybe doing this right. Mm-hmm. But maybe if you did it right, it wouldn't cost that much.
Yeah.
It's just called be a dad.
Yeah. Do your crap. Take care of yourself.
Yeah. There was nothing wrong with hard work. There was nothing wrong with there was a difference between a hurt and an injury when you played and when I played anything. There was a difference between conditioning and conditioning a lot and punishment. We ended up finding out those differences depending on where we were on the court or on the field. Punishment was punishment, and it was typically physical, and it was not. My mom's response to me was smelling salts on the side with likely a concussion. Here's my mom's response.
I know, and it's so weird because I get totally what you're talking about. We've kind of, I don't know whether we've raised a wussy, is that the word? Wussy kids or whatever.
I wanted the diplomat to say it.
I fight myself, and I blame myself a lot of times. I don't blame my kids. Like I blame myself and go, okay, I'm not having them mow the lawns on Saturdays like I did. Yeah. And part of it is just, it's not because I don't want them to. It's just efficiency and what we want to spend our time doing. And I think there's value in all of it. But I've struggled still with, did I instill the same kind of work ethic? I also think society's different, and those things just aren't done anymore. And so there's a whole thing, whether good or bad. I totally get what you're saying, in that we've raised a different culture now than we had in the past. And I think there are some roots that, and I know you're a big proponent on, there's going to be people that work in the mines again if we force them to do it, type of thing. And they're probably,
I'm a hopeful proponent.
Yeah. And that may be true. So I blame partly myself on that. I don't know whether, there's a lot of kids that are saying the way we were raised caused them a bunch of trauma, and that they don't have good relationships with their parents because of the hard line that they took. At the same time, I blame myself as like my kids have great relationships with me, but did I not teach them enough hard discipline so that they can work I don't know if is there a right path. I don't know if we were raised, because a lot of us came out fine. Like you and I feel like we were raised well, and that hard discipline didn't hurt us. But I have friends that would argue, maybe counter, that when the belt came out for them, it caused them some major trauma, and now they're dealing with it in therapy or whatever else, and their relationship with their parents isn't great, and that's not a good. Man,
I find that there's
individual. I find give people grace.
I get you. I find that there's very few things that some classical music and a walk cannot heal, and that just saved you $200 in the counselor's office right there. Just some classical music and some thought. Go walk around, a little bit of movement. I find that there's very few things that rubbing dirt on doesn't actually work. The mind is a very strong thing. What I'm trying to get at is, maybe in all the wrong way, but what I'm really trying to get at is simply that respect is lost. Respect for elders, respect for authority, respect is gone. Look at how people treat the police now. Look at how people discuss in your world, my world, our world, how they approach the judge now. It wasn't the way it was 5-10 years ago, where they were scared to death to be in front of a judge, male or female.
Is it goes from both levels, right? You're talking about on the down level going up, but I see it on the up level going down too.
Yes.
So our own congressmen and presidents and whatever else, the way they treat each other and the way they treat their opponents is no longer diplomatic. It's everybody's an enemy of everybody. And you're right. There's, the decorum doesn't exist anymore. And so that's from up down and down up.
Right.
Yeah.
Agreed. I agree. And so what a great point. That's a fantastic point. So that's what we're looking at. And so my message is respect. And it starts with yourself. Respect your elders, respect your coworkers, respect your fellow people. Oh, we got a comment with Caden.
Thank you.
And a beard, just like his dad.
Hey, Caden could tell you it wasn't always easy.
Yeah. Well, in my opinion, I think our attitude towards authority figures is a reflection of how we are being treated by them. I feel like there's a lot more injustice in the world that is either being caused by authority figures or not being handled by authority figures that have the power to do it. And I think our attitude towards police officers and politicians and often like people in authority positions, it's now they have to earn our respect instead of just getting respect, because us giving them respect just because they're authority figures has not brought us a lot of good recently, because of how like authority has been mistreating the people that they are supposed to be benefiting. Like if you're being put in office for any position, whether it be like a position of power like a police officer or an elected official like a mayor or a senator or even a president, I feel like your main objective should always be to serve the people like selflessly, because we are electing you to do that. And you do not matter further than us. You are being elected to serve us, to better society in general. You should not be doing this for any sort of benefit for yourself. It should be a selfless sacrifice to be a public leader.
Yeah. So that's a classic. Whether agree or disagree with that, I'm going to tell you that is where I see, and I'll bring it down to this. We have raised a society which I think, and we've talked about this before, can be amazing if they do it the right way and they figure it out. We raised a questioning society.
Yeah.
Our parents performed completely on duty.
Yep.
And it didn't matter. You respected and you did what you were told because that police officer was a police officer.
Yep.
And you did it because he was a police officer, whether he abused you or not. And we know civil rights, whatever, we know that abuse happened. We know that there was plenty of police officers or presidents or mayors that were bad or whatever, fathers.
Yep.
But you did what they said because they were who they were. That office was respected.
Yep.
We, at least as our generation, maybe brought that down a little bit and less duty, but still understood the duty, still understood the respect, maybe questioned a little bit more, and there was some progression that happened. And then we've got a society that exactly what Caden said, and I totally know what he's saying. I think there's an element that still there's still an order to things, and there's still respect should be given still to an office.
Right.
It can be. You can lose your respect, just like let's just bring it to a father-children relationship. As a child, you may not respect every decision that your dad makes. Yeah. And if he loses your trust because he does something to abuse you, hurt you, or whatever else, but he's going to make wrong decisions.
Right.
And if you take the position that you don't respect him until he makes all the right decisions, that loses its power. So I disagree with him a little bit in the sense that you can't. Earning trust, I think you lose trust, not earn trust, if that makes sense.
I agree with you completely.
So trust should be inherent in your position.
Yes.
But you can lose it. And that's okay to question, and that's okay as once you do stuff to That's okay to question. I'm okay with that. And once you question and you're able to convince yourself, okay, he gained it back, or you give them that opportunity to fix or whatever else, or you completely write that person off, that's fine. I don't think that if you get a society where you have to earn everybody's trust first, then we're an anarchist society, basically.
Right.
And so I understand what he's saying, and I sympathize with what he's saying. I still think there's an element, though, that there needs to be a mix between both of our cultures, in the sense that you can question.
And so I figured the simplicity of that. I like the way you broke that down, and I like the comment. The simplicity of it is, and I'm going to bring it into an example. The simplicity is respect, respect, respect. Okay, you can disagree and you can dislike and you can absolutely not.
And I'm okay with you if you question a dad. Like,
right.
You do it in the right way and say,
Right.
hey, explain to me this. Why does this rule exist?
Right.
But once I give you the rule and say, hey, I don't need to earn your trust. I need you to trust that I'm the dad and I'm trying to do what's best for
Right.
you. And as long as you inherently believe that,
Right.
then you may have to follow rules that you don't like.
I'm looking 10 miles down the road. You're not, son.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the
I've
deal.
lived a life longer than you. I know the dangers out there. And all
I've
these
been
things.
14. You haven't been 50.
Right.
Is what it is. But the respect factor is an automatic. It's a respect authority, and it's an automatic. It comes from our duty, and that duty lasted thousands of years, not just our parents.
I mean, that goes down from
Thousands
religious, God on
thousands of
down,
years,
right?
Yes. It's that authority. And so that respect. And so if we can just maintain that respect level, and I'll get to how we can maybe reclassify this to where Caden can kind of look at that maybe differently, because I like the way that you put this, because I feel like that is the sag and possibly the problem, because I have people coming in here that feel very disrespected and very harmed and very victimized by very little tiny dinky things that it literally monopolizes their head rent free.
Everybody's individual perceptions of the world may not be wrongs, like in the sense that you may feel disrespected, but as a societal norm, what happened to you wasn't disrespect, it was normal rules of society.
Sure.
And whether you feel like you fit in that majority or not, unfortunately, sometimes there's conformity that has to happen.
The person in traffic in front of you not going right on red is not disrespecting you, but they should be doing right on the red when it's clear.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, all right, let's get back to respect and authority figure. And I'm going to go back into something like, for example, military, or we're going to go into something you and I know very well, law school. All right? And how many, and let's just make this fast. I had a ton of professors. I respected all of them, disagreed with the majority. I probably had a similar experience. Yeah. There was a handful that were awesome and that kind of made a difference. Planted a little seed there. Really, in 3 years' time, we maybe could probably list those on less than a hand.
Yeah, I had more like high school teachers that mentored me, and influenced me than I did law school.
It's it's a very good point. But I respected
different type of thing.
all of them because ultimately I'm getting a grade out of this person. And ultimately I need that grade. And so what good is me protesting that my dissatisfaction from their approach?
All that does is hurt you, right? If you don't turn in your assignment because you don't like him.
It's going to hurt me.
Him.
That's an authority.
Yeah.
That's respect. And so I respect that position. That person, like him or not, got that job some way, somehow. And so I'm under their roof, literally. And so that respect, you got to recognize that law enforcement person, until they show otherwise, deserves your respect. Period. End of story. Until they show otherwise. They're driving a marked car, they have a badge on and a uniform and everything, and they require our respect now. Once they step over that line,
hopefully there's remedies to be able to hold them accountable. And it's not always, and I get that
there's
there are
this
people
thing now.
There are people that are going to claim that they abuse, and absolutely it happens.
Sure.
But I'm also not a defund the police guy either, because I don't want to live in that society.
Right. So we start with that respect as though it's not a bad thing, and that authority. Respect authority. It's not a bad thing. The authorities are not a bad thing.
Keeps us in order.
And the more respect, the easier it is to be one of them. and to be respected and to be respectful and to return that. Right now they're living in this there's a lot of hatred and animosity towards them that didn't exist some years prior. And now we've got this questioning society, which I do enjoy. And I do think ultimately is going to be the tip of the spear. But it's got to start with authority and respect for authority. And that's where I was going with this whole basketball thing, the whole just run it out. I respect, and she just left. This is fantastic. I respect the emotional piece of our home. And I respect the fact that, Reed's mom will point some things out to me all the time that, okay, might not have otherwise thought of. And, okay, I'm considering that. And I like that back and forth that I have with my own mom and you with yours. And
I wouldn't have it any other way.
I love it.
I need that.
But I need my dad to slap me upside the head sometimes, even still.
Yeah.
Like when Dad, what do I do? Oh, okay. And that we're engaging in a conversation and maybe a little less of, my mom's one-liners are really, really wonderful too. So I get just a little bit of a different experience, maybe with the same exact, but I respect my parents. Mm-hmm. And that's in the 10 flipping commandments. And so whether you're Christian or not, okay, we all could live and benefit from the golden rule. And we need to bring that back into the forefront because we do have this questioning society. We do have things that are kind of a little bit chaotic, but we seem to be coming toward the middle. You said top down, bottom up, and I find that interesting to me because I'm kind of feeling that.
Yeah,
I thought that was a great comment, and then Caden that hey, look, you got to earn my respect. I get that. I get that because you are a human being and you're worth a crap. And so earning, and that would be my goal, knowing you. I want to earn your respect. That would be my goal. But, I get to see you.
And I think part of his comment too, and I get, there was not contextual part of it, but we have a political society, which we talked about a lot, where it does feel like lobbyists, and we talked about money and whatever else. There's a lot of self-serving.
Oh, they're picking out the fakes like nobody's business.
Yeah, these guys get it, and they know that they feel like they're not being represented. And I agree. I feel like
you're over there going, my high school buddy's fleecing all these dudes to become dudes, and he's making millions of dollars, and these two guys are like,
yeah, so I
get a rope.
Totally that comment, and I just. Like we were talking about, it doesn't maybe apply to every element of society. But it's funny when you mention your parents. I really enjoy, and I don't know if you're able to have these conversations with your parents. I assume so. We have a really good relationship where I can go to them and say, okay, I'm dealing with this issue as a parent. And I have a conversation with them. Okay, you handled it this way. And here's my perception of the way you handled it. And my parents are really good about saying, yeah, man, I don't know if that was the right way to do it.
Let's mine
talk
too.
It through. We were parents trying to figure it out just like you were. And so now you have at least our perspective, your perspective. Let's combine it. Let's see what the best way it is for you to raise your kids. And my parents have never been, and sometimes we struggle a little bit with involving, whether in-laws or my parents or whatever else in our parental decisions. My parents are pretty open about talking to us about it. Chrissy's parents, she sometimes battles a little bit in this sense, and that's not because they're bad parents, but just they want kids raised a certain way, the way they did it and whatever else. And sometimes there's comments that made that you're like, shoot, it's not how I want to kind of analyze it. And that's neither here nor bad. We've learned how to take advice and not take advice and do what we feel is appropriate. But the one thing I appreciate about my parents is that I can come to them and they're honest with me and saying, yeah, well, I don't know. I don't know if that was the best way. I don't know. How did you feel about that? And we're adults now. They can't say that when I was 16 because
you can't show the weakness.
If you show your weakness, then I'm going to, especially me, I was going to take advantage of that.
No crack in the armor there. But no,
100%.
Reed knows that I screwed up every which way but Sunday, and we're going to be debating that on which way to go. But he also knows that there's a lot of good things, too, especially
and
him
hopefully
being
he
the
knows
first
where
one.
your intention was and heart was. And as they mature, and I would hope that Caden would make the same comment. He and I battled a lot during his teenage years, but as he's matured, I think his heart kind of tells him, he was doing what he was trying to do to protect me and keep me safe, and I was an idiot sometimes.
You have a better future right now. I have a rough 10 years ahead of me because Reed didn't give me any crap whatsoever.
Oh, so he was.
And so now I'm
Caden gave me enough crap that now I've got enough fodder
now I'm going to be getting the shovel.
So I was the opposite.
But Jesse, he's going to be forever giving me crap no matter what. Lola probably will give me crap during high school years and be awesome. His age on.
See, mine goes in order, like a hard kid, easy kid, hard kid, a little bit easier. So I mean, God gave me a little bit of reprieve in between.
I did. I got easy,
and they're all amazing, but they are harder. Some are harder than others.
No, I got pretty lucky. I got easy, one hard, and the rest we'll find out. I mean, they're 14, but they're pretty great.
And look, and I wouldn't have it.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure you were the same way. I wouldn't have it any other way in the sense that
my parents are like
my
yours.
progression as a person has greatly
my dad's favorite
changed
yes
because of the way my kids
my
are.
dad's favorite saying is you were my first kid.
Yeah.
And you always throw away the first pancake. And that's you're doing the best we could. And that opens up the door with what do you think here? And they still have some pretty interesting viewpoints that I disagree with, but they're completely fine with talking things through. My mom far more so than my dad. I think my dad would rather talk about airplanes, which fine.
And my dad didn't do a lot of, and this is not a knock on him. He didn't do a lot of parenting, and he would admit that in the sense that he was there and present. Yeah. And I love my dad, and we're best friends. But he go ask your mom type of. That's the dad he was. Like he didn't want the conflict's not his thing.
Right.
And
I had an enforcer. Really. I didn't have. I had a dad. I mean, he was an enforcer.
See, and my dad was,
and
my
we
mom
would prefer my mom to not enforce because she would miss and inflict far more bodily harm on us because of her missing. This 5 foot tall, 100 pounds, dripping wet lady packs a punch.
Yeah,
and all the antiques around the house get broken on you, and then you're blamed for her breaking them on you. And on the wrong part of your body. You don't want it on that small part of your back that hurts or the thigh area. You want it to kind of make the meat of your butt area.
Yeah, you want to get the...
but she never hit that part. She was so dang mad. She was funny as all get out. We'd have fun with it right up until it wasn't fun anymore. But she was great. But no, we could talk about things now. And she's like, well, you know, you can talk about blah, blah, blah. But I figure it comes down to that authority. Yes, the police officer is a police officer, and we call them authorities. They're the authorities. And we will give them respect until they don't earn it, until they act out of that. But I feel like if everybody started with that approach, with that deference, with that respect for not that person, but their position, the office. It's really the office that we respect, okay? I don't necessarily care much for that judge, but he's still our judge. I don't care, and that happens a lot. I don't care much for the opposing counsel, but there's still opposing counsel. That happens a lot. I don't care much for da-da-da-da-da, but that happens a lot. You're not going to give yourself a whole lot of favors or do yourself a whole lot of favors if you're questioning the surgeon.
And it's just a constant battle, right? Like, do you want to battle your whole life of just, it's just a tough way to live life.
I just figured get some cats.
Like I said, that's not to minimize that our culture and our society. I'm glad that people question. I'm glad that sometimes phones are out now. I hope you do it in a respectful way. Yeah. But that'll help clean up some of the bad apples.
I like Caden. I like the way he just said that because what it shows is he respects respect. He likes that word.
Yeah.
Like that means something to him.
It just, maybe in a different
and so
context.
Now I'm just trying to kind of twist that a little bit because I like that means something to this younger generation, the questioning generation. They're coming up. Some are coming down. It's like, are we really seeing a pendulum shift for a brief period of time? What is it going to look like? I don't know. On a world stage, we don't look too bad right now. With the market that we felt like was going to crumble 3, 4, 5 months ago, it did not do so. It's an interesting time to be, okay, I would not put Trump in an Andrew Tate scenario. Trump's just a dude. That's what he's doing. He's the president. He's just being a dude. And talks like one, walks like one, and he's been a very successful man in his days, and he's taking a lot of what he's learned both politically and business wise, and things seem to be going in an interesting direction. And there's a lot of warmth more outside the United States than probably in. Right now we're divided within, but we've been divided for quite some time. We've been divided we're almost rolling on 2 decades of division. And so it's hard to say that started with Trump. I don't think he helped it, but I'm not saying he started it either.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't start the fire. Billy Joel. That's a very fine song. That was a really well done song, historically speaking. That was a really good song. Yeah. Look that up later. You guys are brainiacs. Oh, nice. Of course. Caden already's got it on.
That's what I did do with my kids, raising them right, is their music talent or taste is pretty eclectic. So. Yeah, that's his favorite band, so I did something right.
It's pretty much probably the only thing I did right. Reed just gave me a big old smile.
No,
probably the only
bands.
thing.
Good.
Yep, he's got something down. He knows who Eddie Van Halen is, and he probably, had a moment of silence when Ozzy passed.
Yeah, Caden was you the first one to tell me. I think you told me that Ozzy passed. Yeah,
that was a rough.
I took my kids to James Taylor 3 weeks ago. Or a month ago.
That's impressive.
They were the youngest kids in the whole. Maybe it was 2 or 3 months ago, like May. Yeah,
it's impressive.
Yeah,
that's impressive.
And they enjoyed it.
Well,
youngest kids there, but
respect, authority. I really feel like that needs to be, and I like that it's an appreciated value. Treat others like you want to be treated. Let's start there, and love our neighbors. Let's start there. We talked about that one first or second pod in. Let's start there. And let's see if we can't make a difference, because I really feel like that bottom is coming up and that up is coming down. It's a very interesting moment.
And my advice to people would be, and this is where I think we are losing it as a little bit of a culture, is let's make the inherent assumption, right or wrong, that people's intentions are pure. And then when they lose that intention and you learn who their true character is, that's fine.
Yeah.
Do what you got to do. But I think that
not everybody's going to be your best friend.
I think that we come into situations already questioning people's intentions.
Yeah.
And when we live in a society that does that, when inherently people are bad or their intentions are bad, then it makes it hard.
Yeah.
And so if we can get back to, and maybe that's just to love your neighbor for their flaws, for their strengths and weaknesses.
I just think it's give
people
benefit.
Grace.
Yeah.
And inherently, hopefully, their intentions and heart are good. And if that's the case, then it makes it a lot easier to deal with people when you disagree with them.
Well, your clients come in and they automatically have, like, you're an authority to them in their eyes, but they're Latinos. And they have that authority in their eyes. I do as well. I get to represent the same folks, and it's super awesome for the firm to represent them and have very little, but then we have the other right. We have the other side of things, like, well, I looked this up on the internet, and I saw this, and I saw that. What do you do? Blah 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 blah. What can you do? Da, 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 da. And it's just like, I don't necessarily want my firm to wrestle.
Those are the clients
on your best
to represent
behalf.
Yourself,
right?
Why are you calling?
Right. It's really a tough go, and it's just like, look, we did a lot of work to establish ourselves here. We're across the street from each other, Westover Law Firm, westoverlawfirm.com. And the Arizona Law Firm, we're right across the street from each other, and it took us a long time to build these things up and for us to be able to represent folks in a very, very aggressive and good way. I mean, we give a crap about the tomorrows. And I think that's the cool part about us. Just saying. I really do. That said, there's a certain amount of respect. I don't demand it. I just think it's kind of an obvious.
It's the job.
Right. It's kind of an obvious. We've kind of been there, done that, starting the movie with somebody in your situation. So I'm not going to go in and start bagging on the surgeon before I'm out cold and they're cutting me open. It's just not what I'm going to do.
And I think it's okay for us to feel that way. Like there's times when I'm in a consultation and I'm starting to get exactly like you explained, a situation where my experience, my expertise is being minimized in the consultation. And then I'm like, I start to be like, you're not a good fit for us, because at the very least, I'm hoping you're coming here to spend thousands of dollars because you trust. And if you don't trust it, we're not a good fit. Like, because I believe in myself, and if you had some reason and you told me a reason why you don't trust me, number one, why are you making a consultation with me in the first place if you had that feeling? And secondly, if you don't, then we're not a good fit. And so, yeah, I believe that even in our positions, if you're not going to inherently come with knowing that my intentions are good and that my expertise is going to be of value to you, not move on.
Yeah, I agree 100%. It's kind of the same thing wherein, I don't want to have to sell what we're going to be doing to save you in this certain circumstance, or in what way.
Explain it, but
right.
once you're
I like a good question. I love a good question. I love a good, hey, how does it work? And anything sincere is perfectly fine. Law enforcement coming over to Caden's side of his door to write him a ticket, and let's just say that this motorcycle cop doesn't have his mustache yet, so he's already a little bit feeling bad about himself because he doesn't have his mustache yet. Number two, he waddles up, and let's just say he just got a phone call from his old lady saying that she's not too happy with him and he's having a bad day and he's hungry. Okay, so you roll down your window, license registration, right? And you think, well, for me,
sir.
I'd just be giving him the license and registration. I'm going to definitely be getting a ticket because he's a mustacheless motorcycle cop. And you are. Anyway, maybe I've had this recently. But, okay. I got out of a motor ticket because she was laughing so hard.
Because of the situation that happened.
Yeah.
I gave myself a ticket once for this respect thing because the guy pulled me over in Globe and I had my 2 kids in the back and I was on a camping
Maybe
trip.
this is where he got it.
Yeah. And he was like, he wouldn't even remember. He was like 5 or 4 years old.
Oh, he remembers.
And the guy was so angry that I was going maybe 10 miles per hour over and I was speeding. But I got so, and this is where this is the only time the respect thing where I've challenged a little bit. Like he was so angry. Oh, why are you speeding? You got kids in the car. And I'm like, okay, guy, I'm 40 or 35 years old. I made a mistake. If I was speeding, you're fine. But he wanted to just yell at me. And he actually didn't give me a ticket, but I almost got myself a ticket because I'm like, at this point, just write me a ticket. I get it. You're not my dad. Right. I definitely was speeding. I'm not denying that. But you are yelling at me in front of my kids, and I'm a grown man, and I wasn't DUI or anything. I was speeding.
Yeah.
I get it. Like, write me a ticket. Oh, no. And he just wanted to lecture me, and I'm like, okay. No, that's where we're.
Just write me a ticket.
Just write me a ticket at this point. Like,
you just
I don't
quiet,
need my kids to see me belittled by you because you feel like
And so sometimes I think we forget
call
that
me a
they're
bad
human
dad
because
in there
maybe
because
this, maybe that. And
I'm speeding with
I
my
understand.
kids.
I understand that I get under my skin too.
Yeah.
You get pulled over on the lake, it's 1,000 times worse. Like, what? Are you freaking kidding? Anyway, it doesn't matter. So I understand where this goes, but I also understand that that's one of a few experiences you've had with law enforcement that was not.
And
not
I
a very
maintained
good
respect, and that's why I probably didn't get a ticket.
Right.
But I inside was like,
sure. And it's still 20 years later, we're sitting here talking, or 15 years later, we're sitting here talking about it. And that was not a fun. And that's what that authority can do. It can really be a good experience or even a forgettable one in one ear out the other type thing. Or it can be like our professors, we hardly remember them. They're like cellophane. Yeah. But our high schoolers, coaches and high school teachers that made a difference and made a dent in our character, we remember those. We revere them. Were they perfect? Did they always have a good day? Were they? No. Yeah. I remember that clearly. No, they weren't always on having a good day, or they weren't always on, but they were always. So, yes, I found that the golden rule and the neighbor thing and that respect authority. That doesn't mean subservient. Yeah. That just means respect the office. It's not necessarily even Officer Ortiz or Officer Peters or Officer. It doesn't necessarily mean that. It's just officer. Just respect.
The majority of the time, you're going to find when you give respect, you get respect.
Yeah.
Not always.
Not always.
Not a general rule, because there are people that are just
jackwagons.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or just, had a bad day that you can't overcome. But yeah, I think that the challenge is when sometimes we're and I'm guilty of this, maybe in my marriage or something like that, where I'm anticipating a fight, so you're like on edge, and so like any move that they make is gonna turn you off or turn you up, maybe, I don't know. And so
either way,
that
she's not listening.
That
to
in
this
general, and that in general, if you're coming with that attitude, and that's not necessarily a respectful attitude. I mean, like I said, give them the grace that they deserve, and usually you're going to get it back. Usually,
I for sure should do better with that. What? Have you guys been? You go drink your mate. All right, salud.